Hi, and thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to talk about one last exponent rule. It is called the power rule. And I know all of the exponent rules are difficult to memorize, but if you just keep practicing, I promise it will get easier. Okay, here's the first problem. Here we have 4 squared cubed, or 4 to the second power to the third power. So this really just means 3 groups of 4 squared. So I could rewrite it like this: 4 squared times 4 squared times 4 squared. And if you remember the product rule, when we have problems like this, you keep the base, which is 4, and you add the exponents. We have 2 4s here, 2 4s here, 2 4s there, which would give us a total of 6 4s, or 4 to the 6th power. Now, if you want to find what that answer is as a number, you could take your calculator and go 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. But I am just going to show you how to simplify your answer using exponents. Let's do another one. Here we have 2 cubed to the 4th power. So that means this inside the parentheses, the 2 cubed, I'm going to write it 4 times. So I have 2 cubed times 2 cubed times 2 cubed times 2 cubed. So I have 3, 6, 9, 12 2's total. So I'm going to write it like this: 2 to the 12th power. Now, if you notice a pattern, you are not going to have to write all of this out every time. With the power rule, what you can do is you can take these two numbers, 3 and 4, and you can multiply them together to get 12. It's basically 4 groups of the 3 2's. So that's why we can take those and multiply them. So the simplified answer would be 2 to the 12th, okay? Don't get this confused with the product rule, okay? The product rule, you add the exponents. And the power rule, when we have a power raised to another power, that's when you get to multiply. Let's try a couple more. Here we have 3 squared to the 0 power. So I'm going to use the shortcut. I'm going to go 2 times 0, and I know anything times 0 is 0. So this is going to give me 3 to the 0 power. And if you remember from a video before, anything to the 0 power is just 1, okay? So the best way to write this would just be 1. Okay, let's do some more. Here we have 3 cubed to the negative 3rd power. So we are just going to take those two numbers right here and multiply them together. Remember, a positive times a negative is a negative. So 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. So I'm going to rewrite this 3 to the negative 9th power. If you watch the exponent video all about negative exponents, you know that this is not the proper way to write an exponent. We don't ever want to write negative exponents, okay? So if you think about scientific notation for a minute, negative exponents actually mean divide. That's all they mean, division, okay? Negative exponents don't actually mean negative at all. So when this happens, just remember that this means actually divided by 3 to the 9th power, and we usually write it like this, kind of like a fraction. So if we wanted to find the actual answer, we would multiply 3 to itself 9 times, and that number would be in the denominator. And when we run out of numbers for the numerator, it's always replaced with a 1. Okay, the reason that is because we could take this whole thing and multiply by 1, and it wouldn't change. So this 1 kind of just stays there if that one moves. Okay, let's do a couple more with negatives. Here we have x squared to the negative 2nd power. So try this one on your own. I know it's a letter instead of a number, but I think you can still remember the pattern and try it. So what you should have done is taken these two numbers, multiply them together to get a negative 4. Then all you have to think about is, oh, a negative power, that's not proper. That's not the proper way to write it. So we need to take this because it actually means division. So we're going to stick it down here, divided by x to the 4th power, and we're going to put a 1 up here because there's no other numbers or variables left. Okay, so basically, if you could just think that this moves to the denominator when it's negative because it means division. Okay, let's try a couple more. Here is a longer problem. It kind of looks scary when you first see it, but basically we're just going to take this -2 and we're going to distribute it to the 4, to the x to the 4th power, and to the y to the -2nd power. So let me walk you through it. We are going to take this, and if there is not a power up here, there's just a 1 secretly up there. So we're going to take our 1 and multiply it by -2. So 1 times -2 is -2. So I'm going to rewrite it like that for now. And I have my x. I'm going to distribute this to here. 4 times -2 is -8. And then my last one, I have my y. -2 times -2 is +4. Don't forget, a negative times a negative is a positive. Okay. The last thing I have to do is just clean this up a little bit because you never want to write negative exponents. This one has a negative exponent. So right away, I am going to remember that that means divide, and it's going to be a positive exponent now because I'm writing it as division, which is what it means. This one's also negative, so I'm going to write it down here as a positive because it really just means divide. And then this one right here is positive, so it's just going to stay in the numerator like this. So this is the final simplified answer of this problem. Your answer should never contain negative exponents. Let's do one more that's kind of tricky like that. Here we have one that's very similar to the one we just did. We're going to take this 4 and we're going to distribute it to each of the things inside the parentheses, and we're going to make sure to multiply because that is what the power rule does. It multiplies. So remember, if there's not a number up here, that means there's a 1. So 4 times 1 is going to give us 4. So I have 3 to the 4th power. And -4 times a +4 is going to give me a -16. And that goes with our x. And then we have our y. And 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, we are just going to look at this really quick. 3 to the 4th power is fine. That's a positive exponent. So I am just going to rewrite it. This x to the -16th power, remember that really means divide. So I'm going to write it down here in the denominator as a positive exponent. And then I have my y to the 8th power, and that one's positive, so it's just going to stay right here. Okay. There we go. That is our final answer. Another way to write this would be to actually multiply 3 to itself 4 times. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which would give us 81. So another way to write this could be 81 y to the 8th power divided by y to the 16th, but either will work. I hope that helped you. Don't forget to subscribe and comment down below what else you need help with in math. Bye!